Hi guys, and welcome to your weekly horoscope. This one is for Monday the 15th of January going through until Sunday the 21st of January 2024. Thanks for joining me. It's a beautiful day outside here today, so I thought I'd come and film in the park. And there are actually people skating on the pond, the pond down the hill. So if I have time at the end, I'll show you that. So what I do in these weekly horoscopes is I go through each day of the week to see how the planets interact with each other, what energy they create amongst themselves, and how that energy then influences all of us. So I'll go through each day. Once I've done that, I'll go through each sign of the zodiac from Aries to Pisces to give you an idea of what area of your life this energy is most likely to show up in and how this is going to influence you specifically. So what I noticed when I was writing the horoscope is that there's a back and forth between this sense of impulsivity versus taking consistent and well-placed action. I also got the sense that there's going to be a question between fight or flight. Do I stay here and address this, or is it just easier for me to change the focus and to move on to something else, particularly something that seems more fun and exciting in the moment? So let's have a look at what the planets are doing then. And my horoscopes are based on Central European time. If you're in a different time zone, then take that into account, please. So Monday, the 15th of January, we've got the Pisces moon forming a conjunction with its ruler, the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, which is also in Pisces. So this is a really positive start to the week because your own feelings are going to be very accessible. You'll make sense of things just by listening to your gut, your intuition, and you can use that, particularly here on Monday, as your navigation system to give you direction and focus and purpose. The Pisces moon then also squares Venus in Sagittarius, so the planet of love and beauty says, I want to experience something new, I want to go on an adventure. So you see, immediately at the beginning of the week, we have this sense of excess, or a sense of, I don't want the same old again and again. I want to do something new for the sake of it. Whether that's helpful or not isn't as important. So make sure that you kind of keep a constructive frame of mind going here in this week. The Pisces moon then also sextiles Uranus in Taurus, and that is really about the miraculous and experiencing change in a practical sense. So that's going to make you very willing to affect change, again, for the sake of it, and also to have new experiences and to step outside of your comfort zone. The Pisces moon also sextiles the sun in Capricorn, and that's really positive because both of those elements are feminine, water and earth, Pisces and Capricorn. So if I listen to my intuition and the concrete guidance I get from that, I'll be able to take the right action steps in order to accomplish what I set out to do. And the Pisces moon also sextiles Pluto in Capricorn. Now, Pluto is an outer planet. It's the planet of transformation and change. And that is about to have a huge shift. It's going to leave Capricorn and it's going to move into Aquarius in my time zone on the 21st of January. If you're west of Europe, North or South America, it happens in the evening on the 20th of January. I made a separate video on that. If you'd like more information on this, please have a look at that because this is really the beginning of a whole new era. And here in the last few days of Pluto being in Capricorn, Capricorn is about work, it's an earth sign, and it's about looking at the bones of things, the real foundations, the structures to do with anything in your practical life. So it gives you this ability to put the final touches on anything work-related, or to make big decisions when it comes to how do I live, or what do I do every day, how far is the commute to work, any of these practical considerations. If you use all of this intuition and focus to make changes there, it's going to feel like I've completed that. I've made space to now focus on other things. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the week, we have a lot of water and earth. Later on, we have a lot of fire coming into the chart, and that makes you more impulsive. So anything that occurs to you on Monday, take consistent, steady action around it as soon as possible because you won't go wrong. It's very unlikely that your own intuition is going to mislead you. And then finally, we have the sun in Capricorn forming a sextile with Neptune in Pisces. And that's amazing because the conscious self, what I'm striving towards and what I identify with, is supported by the dream planet. And it drops these hints into my mind and it gives me very concrete actions to take, which are going to affect a positive outcome. So it's a very auspicious start to the week. You are still focused on your hopes and dreams. We've had a lot of that come up over the last couple of weeks, last few days. And the difference here this week is that you not only have the practical know-how, you also have the courage to really take on the big things. So if there are certain things in your life that have come up again and again, I want to change my job, or maybe I do want to move house, but that seems daunting and way too complicated. By addressing it on Monday, it's going to seem almost run-of-the-mill. So take on the biggest challenges in your life on Monday and listen to your gut. It's not going to take you down the wrong path. So really trust yourself here at the beginning of this week. Tuesday, the 16th of January, we now have the fire coming in. The moon goes into Aries at 5:49 in the morning. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it says, I have all of this drive and this power. How am I going to use that in the next 12-hour period while there is sunlight around me? And how can I be as productive as possible? And how can I get obstacles out of my way so there's a greater sense of freedom? The Aries moon then forms a conjunction with Chiron in Aries. And that's interesting because Chiron is the asteroid that's associated with the wounded healer. And it's kind of got this focus of how can I amend disappointments from the past? How can I heal from wounds? And how can I recover my own strength? So the focus kind of pulls back very much into what's going on in here and what makes you feel strong and like you're in control. And the Aries moon then also forms a square with Mercury, the communication planet, which is direct, and then Mars, the planet of drive and ambition, also direct. So no issues when it comes to this is what I want to accomplish, and these are the steps involved to accomplishing it. And both of those are in Capricorn, which is again the earth sign of the worker. So if there are specific things in your life that need a little bit of work or need a little bit of a push, you're really able to access those and almost feel like I've got these in hand, literally, and I'm going to now move mountains simply as a result of making a commitment to whatever area of your life it is, to this issue that may be coming up. And reading between the lines here, there's absolutely no sense of I am overwhelmed or this is too complicated or maybe I'll leave that till later. It's I feel it, I know what to do, so I'm going to do it. So with all that fire coming into the chart on Tuesday, you're able to take things to the next level when it comes to change. The focus is almost exclusively on what you can do to make life more exciting and to live in the present moment. So again, as I'm saying that, change for the sake of change is one thing, but changing things and at the same time saying, is this actually a good move? Is this going to be useful to me? That's not as supported. So make sure that you're not creating these huge, almost like you're creating problems for yourself just because it makes life seem more interesting. If you are going to make big changes, ask yourself, is this something that's going to help me in future? Also consider how your actions are going to influence other people. And the mantra here on Tuesday that I think is really helpful is, what consequences are my actions going to have? That's going to allow you to stay in this constructive frame of mind and to not waste your energy by creating complexities where there don't need to be any. On Wednesday, the 17th of January, we have the Aries moon forming a conjunction now with Chiron in Aries. So it's like, I want to make up for things that haven't worked in the past. I want to readdress those. And I have so much courage and energy available that I want to do the most heavy lifting in my life. So I want to challenge those things which have caused me concern for a while, and I want to be done with them once and for all. And it also really feeds into Pluto being in the final stages of its journey through Capricorn, and it's like, if I need to change the structure of anything, I'm able to get to the root cause of what I'm not happy with, and I'm able to adapt that and work towards change. So you see, there is the potential to be incredibly constructive and to make well-informed changes, but at the same time there's a thing that underpins that, which says, yeah, but if it is way too complicated, then maybe I should just do something that's fun, and maybe I should just reward myself. So it depends on where you are in your life. If there are big things that have to be resolved, the first 3 days here are good, and give yourself some support, as in just consistently chip away at this until you get what it is you want. And if you find yourself going, oh, too difficult, let me just instead chat to friends or go on a trip or do something exciting, then just ask yourself, is this sensible? Do I have the luxury of just taking the day off? And again, I'm saying that because on Wednesday, the Aries moon squares the sun in Capricorn. So do I do the work? But it also trines Venus in Sagittarius, or do I go on a trip and just enjoy the enthusiasm and this affinity for my life and all these things I'm suddenly interested in and how bright and positive things look. So overall, I mean, this is not a problem. It's a really good thing. If the choices are, do I have a good time or do I use all of my energy to get things done? I mean, both of those options are really good. And again, ask yourself, do I have a lot on my plate or not? Do I get to just traipse off into the countryside and take some pictures, whatever it may be? So I think on Wednesday, the amazing focus that you have, the best way to use that is to channel it into your career. And any last minute changes that you want to make to the structure of your working life before Pluto does make its transition into Aquarius later on in the week. If you have a choice between, do I resolve this or do I take off? I think the best way forward is to resolve any obstacles, to work through any challenges, and it will give you this sense of accomplishment. And I have space, I don't have a huge amount on my to-do list because I've been so productive, well done me, and it's really an opportunity to lighten the load. On Thursday, the 18th of January, we have the Aries moon now forming a square with Pluto in Capricorn, final days of Pluto being in Capricorn, and it gets more intense whenever it makes changes or when it's about to jump into another sign. So really, this is, I don't like certain things in my life which are boring. Even if they support you, even if you've worked for them and they're necessary, you may become overly willing to let go of things just because they feel familiar and routine. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in my life, I need certain things that are familiar and routine so I can get things done, right? So you can't throw absolutely everything out, and on Thursday, really watch out for that tendency. The moon also enters Taurus at 9:12 in the morning, and this is a nice save via the moon shifting into Taurus, because Taurus is a fixed earth sign and it says, I don't like change. So in fact, we've got some balance coming in now on Thursday. Mercury in Capricorn sextiles Saturn in Pisces. If I feel it, if I get the sense that my higher self is prompting me to do this, then I'm willing to do the work. And the Taurus moon then conjuncts Jupiter in Taurus, the lucky planet. So we've got a lot of Taurus energy here that says, if this feels malleable, if it feels like I have some control over this issue in my life, then please do take it, because the outcome is going to be even better than you could expect or foresee. And the Taurus moon then also trines Mars and Mercury in Capricorn, and it sextiles Saturn in Pisces. So I like this, even though we still have the moon in Aries saying go for it, we have all of this other earth stuff in the chart on Thursday that makes it much more likely for you to only take action which is helpful and conducive to getting to where you want to go. So with the moon being in Aries, there may be another prompt to make massive changes in your life. If you have the sudden desire to do something really extreme, like I'm going to give notice on my job, or the rental agreement, it's stifling me, I need to get rid of this, or give my notice. Take a breath before you do that and consider the long-term effects of such an action. So on Thursday, impulsivity really is the day that, or Thursday is the day when impulsivity rules supreme. And it won't be much help if you cause major changes that then will take a lot of time and effort to undo moving forward. So try not to make yourself busy just for the sake of it. Try not to make things overly complicated just because you like complexity at the moment. Keep it moving and don't overload yourself. Any change, I think that's really big in that regard, is best contained to your working life, where the structures of the future can be anticipated. And what I mean by that is, if you're signing a contract or if you give your notice, you'll have an idea, you know, if I have to give 3 months, then this is what the next 3 months are going to look like. Career changes are likely to be good, but if it's extreme, just see that as a red flag and just kind of give yourself a moment to say, have I really thought this through? Is this the way I want to operate? I'm just gonna have to move because of the sun. Okay, so Friday, the 19th of January, we have Mercury in Capricorn, forming a trine with Jupiter in Taurus. So again, making changes to practical circumstances as they relate to work are going to make sense. You're likely to make a good decision and a good change there, which is going to have a positive outcome for you. Venus in Sagittarius squares Neptune in Pisces. So I don't want to be informed all the time. I don't just want to be sensible. I also want to have a good time. So it's this back and forth between, am I being really responsible and effective, or do I just want to go out and experience life? So check in with your own circumstances. Again, if you have the luxury to go out, then taking a trip to the beach or the shopping center or whatever it is you enjoy doing, exposing yourself to new things will feel very satisfying. The Taurus moon then conjunct Uranus in Taurus. It sextiles Neptune in Pisces, and it quincunxes Venus in Sagittarius. So with these connections, if there is something unexpected that seems shocking, watch out for the tendency to say, this is way too overwhelming, let me get out of here and focus on something else and go into denial. But on the other side, if there is the opportunity to make a change, particularly again in your career, then really address that and take it seriously and say, would it benefit me in the long term, and create a kind of slow burn instead of something that's really fiery in the moment. Would this make the future of my working life, of my career, the structures involved, would that make it more interesting? If the answer is yes, then go for it. So on Friday, it's a good idea to make a list of all the things you want to accomplish via your career here in 2024. It's a good day to make those plans. You're not so interested in the financial rewards, but you're interested in the value you can create for yourself through your work and for other people. And the irony of that kind of thinking is that usually then that has a positive financial impact on your life, because if you're adding more value, it's likely that you get more back. Fight or flight is still active. So try and stay put if you can and be productive in the structural side of your life, and look at what you can do to move things forward and give you a sense that things are again in hand and they're progressing the way I would like. So you're a guide to yourself here really when it comes to work. On Saturday the 20th of January, we've got the greatest number of interactions during the week. So Saturday is a little bit more complicated than the rest. First of all, we have the Sun in Capricorn, and that conjuncts Pluto in Capricorn. And that's, again, the feeling that I want to now put any final touches on really big things in my life. And again, it can also go too far and say, I want to be destructive just because it feels fun. So if you then have to pick up the pieces for the next few weeks, that's not such a good idea. The Taurus moon trines the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn. So we've got Earth and even more Earth. So I want to even change the most fixed things in my life. The Taurus moon then sextiles Neptune in Pisces, and it quincunxes Venus in Sagittarius. And this is really the underlying theme of the whole week. That do I listen to my intuition and adapt for a consistent future, or do I just again turn my back on it and run off into something that seems more inspiring in the here and now? The moon enters Gemini at 2:58 in the afternoon. So you may think I'm being too focused on the work side of things here, but with Gemini, you find solutions now, and those solutions occur to you very quickly and very easily. So of course, we don't always have the opportunity to have fun and to have a good time, so you can use that if you're in a position to. But also, if there are some serious things in your life that need sorting out, like serious things, what do I mean by that? Like the work contract or the taxes, or what's your financial plan for the entire year? Things will occur to you that haven't occurred to you in the past. So if you do have significant changes to make, address those on Saturday as well. The sun then enters Aquarius at 7 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. So you start to identify with information and how you can use information to make a positive contribution, how you can innovate, how you can change things. And the sun going into Aquarius, so happy birthday to you guys, Aquarius. It moves before Pluto does, but we're really hitting this new era around the weekend, and you're not going to be so interested in changing the foundations. You're more interested in adding new ones. So please use the working week to put the final touches on things. The Gemini moon then also squares Saturn in Pisces, and it quincunxes Mercury in Capricorn. Mercury, the communication planet, rules Gemini. And with it being in Capricorn, it's now my intellect leads me to certain action steps, not just my intuition. So if I can look over the contracts or the books and glean some knowledge from it, that's a good thing to do. And then to resolve anything that's outstanding there. So with all of these complicated connections, there's also going to be an overwhelming sense of, I want to let go of the past. But while I'm at it, I might as well throw all of this other stuff out the window because I want to feel as free as possible. So just make sure that you're not just randomly getting rid of everything, and that you're only letting go of things really which no longer serve you. So consider what you no longer want and try and be objective about that. If you find yourself acting in an extreme way, so you're blocking someone just because you had a minor disagreement, or you're quitting jobs because something small occurred and you're like, okay, that's it, enough. Or you're really giving you're handing in your notice, anything big, consider the red flags, because here on Saturday the fight and flight is still active, and also you're going to be almost too willing to get rid of everything, even if you've worked very hard to bring it into your life in the first place. So the overreaching kind of mantra here is out with the old and in with the new. Make sure that the new is actually helpful. Use your experience to see how much work you'll have to do if you do get rid of something. Ask yourself that before making a big decision, so that you don't just load more onto your plate. Yeah. Finally, on Sunday, the 21st of January, we've got the big thing happening. Pluto goes into Aquarius at 1:50 in the morning, my time. Again, if you're west of Europe, it happens in the evening on Saturday, the 20th. Check out that video. I go into a lot of detail there. It's going to stay in Aquarius until 2044. So the next 20 years are going to be very different to the last 15 years. Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. The Gemini moon also sextiles Chiron in Aries, so I want to use my intellect to solve problems. And it quincunxes Mars and Mercury in Capricorn. So again, I have the practical know-how and the confidence and the energy available to make all of these changes happen. So it's like the last ditch attempt to be focused on what already exists and to perfect that before you move on to the new and you start innovating and approaching things in a totally different way. So it's the beginning of a new era of ideas and humanitarianism, and really putting the value and the focus on what could exist on this planet that doesn't exist already. You'll want to hit the ground running to pay attention to those notions that occur now, they're going to be far more useful looking ahead than they have been the entire week, where the intuition and the ideas have been around analysis of what exists and how you can restructure it. Now it's about adding completely new structures. If you're a student or you're retired, you may find that a different direction or a different area of study or work becomes very, very interesting to you. And also if you're employed, then it may be, okay, my existing job now is no longer so interesting, and how can I reinvent it? So if you're self-employed, that's possible, but if you're employed with a particular list of duties, then you can't just willy-nilly change all of those. So making the changes before Sunday, and a lot of people obviously aren't going to be working on Sunday, but that's why, you see, it's nice to be prepared for this, because from Sunday the 21st moving onwards, you're really going to appreciate new tasks and new responsibilities. So you can prepare for that by making those changes so that you do have more freedom in your existing job. So try and let those new ideas in while also maintaining everything you've worked for already, without being overly willing to let go of all of the securities that you've created so far. So that's what I get overall this week. I'm going to go through each sign of the zodiac now to see how this affects you specifically. And when I talk about the specific signs of the zodiac, please watch them in this order: sun sign first, then rising sign, and then moon sign. The reason I do it that way is because I feel the sun is what we're striving towards. It's what gives us a sense of happiness and power and fulfillment. And there's a bit of a process involved. The rising sign is what we naturally embody anyway. So that's where things are easier. And that's why I put it in position number 2, because I like a bit of a challenge. Maybe too much. And then the moon, the final sign, is what you feel internally. So what you can access very, very easily. So it goes from hard, medium, easy. So for you guys, Aries, you're going to be less affected by the sense of fight or flight. You'll want to make progress in your career. It's pretty straightforward for you guys. Make sure to tie up any loose ends in that area of your life and existing projects, long-term career circumstances, and really take them all the way to completion before you shift the focus to something new. So for you, the Monday to Friday structure to complete is very good. And then the weekend, consider the new. Taurus, you guys may have a strong feeling that you've changed as an individual, and therefore so should your life. So you're really at risk of throwing absolutely everything out because it's old and uninteresting. Be careful if you find yourself getting rid of support systems in your life, especially if you've relied on those for years. Just because you want freedom or you're tired of a particular thing doesn't mean that it stopped serving you. Gemini, if you want to get your products or your message out there into the public sphere, or you want to sell your course or your manuscript, reach out to as many people as possible to get your foot in the door. It's very likely that you make a connection this week, which is going to be useful to you. Cancer, you're very different to the other signs. The whole fight or flight thing, flight isn't going to be much of an option for you. Instead, you look around into your circumstances and you find it possible to get other people to help you problem solve, to help you make progress. So I've noted here that Cancer, you're like the human resources manager of the week, because you're not going to traipse off just for the hell of it. You're going to say, is this something I ought to change? How can other people help me accomplish that? So you're good at delegating. You're good at seeing the big picture here. Leo, you're again very different. Leo, you're one of the flightiest signs of the week. If anything is even remotely unpleasant or boring, you'll be out the door, like blink and you're gone, okay? So please try and be patient and see what needs your focus and what can be resolved for a genuine sense of freedom, rather than this thing that looms over you as in, I avoided this, I'll have to deal with it later. Deal with it in the here and now as best as possible, if possible. Virgo, you are almost like a seer this week. Seer I spell as S-E-E-R. I mean a visionary. So you're almost able to glimpse your own future. You get a very clear image of what you want to bring into your life in that future. And you're also willing to do the work to make that happen, to make it possible. So if you want to bring more fulfillment into your life, identify what is going to feel fulfilling, what really a huge desire is for you this week. Then ask yourself, how am I going to do that? And then go for it. So you can make your life richer by doing the work. Libra, you may feel a little overwhelmed this week. The question being, do I make things happen in my working life or in my relationships? You may feel a little torn, like it's back and forth all the time. So try and simply commit to doing the best you can in either area or both, and really let your intuition guide you this week, because you're going to be a little scattered. Okay, this is work, that's what I need to do now. Then relationships are also demanding things of me. And the more you go back and forth, you may have a sense of whiplash. So make it easier for yourself by saying, okay, what's my intuition? What is my gut feeling? What's important in the now? Always go back to that and then take action and check in with yourself a few hours later. Scorpio, you may take fight or flight to the next level here, in the sense that you transcend both of those as options, and instead you decide to launch yourself and what you're working on into the public arena. So you're not fighting, or you could say you're not fighting or flighting, or you could say you're doing both, because you're pushing yourself out there. You're making the journey very concrete, and you're saying, I want to connect with as many people as possible. So if you have product, or again a course or information that you can promote or present, that works really well. But at the same time, and this is very unlike you, be very careful about spilling your secrets unwittingly. If you have something that you want to keep private, don't even allude to it. You're likely to say more than you would like. You're doing a lot of chatting this week, so if something needs to be kept close to the chest, go into any situation deliberately holding that close to your chest so you don't just blurt things out. Sagittarius, you'll want to ditch anything that displeases you in your working life. You're at risk of not showing up at all. If things have got unpleasant or challenging, you're like, oh, maybe not, maybe I should just run off somewhere more fun. And you may also have the tendency to quit a situation which is actually still very useful to you. So no big changes if you can avoid them. And particularly avoid big changes if they're based on a feeling that's just come in or some sort of a whim. Play the long game. Be sensible, not silly. Okay. Capricorn, you may be uncharacteristically bored with your current circumstances, and you may want to devote yourself completely to something that just is new and that has novelty attached to it. So explore these new things, but try and balance it out by keeping on top of your existing circumstances, take care of what needs to be taken care of, and particularly spend a little bit of time supporting yourself and the necessary structures in your life, and keep those going. So for example, Capricorn, if you find yourself doing something really extreme, you're buying a plane ticket an hour after an idea has occurred to you, you've gone too far. Red flag. Okay, so just be aware of those. Aquarius, you really have the easiest time this week because you're not so influenced by this fight or flight dynamic, and you don't buy into it as much. You're able to kind of watch the movie instead of be a part of the movie. So you're able to weigh up your options and to examine the best way forward. So the do I go or do I create conflict, or all of that barely touches you. You're in observer mode, and you can learn a great deal simply by listening. And that's really interesting, you know, like if you have any relationships in your life and you tend to hang out with your friends or something once a week, right? And you usually do a lot of talking. I've tried this, whether it was deliberate or not, but when I've gone to those same sort of, made those same connections, and I've said less, I've often been surprised by what was said when I didn't suck all the air out of the room and just talk nonstop. I learned a lot more, and I got a feel for what was actually happening, rather than if you're just talking, you tend to create a certain dynamic rather than picking up on the dynamic that already exists. So Aquarius, you can really use that to your advantage and say, what is the vibe here? And how can I discover that vibe? By just listening and observing. And then Pisces, finally, pay attention to what is handed to you free of charge. You may get a lot of opportunities come your way, and look at those as you go and try and weave those into your plans for the future. So basically what I'm saying is, as you're making progress this week, Pisces, you may get possibilities for things to become even better. Make sure you don't dismiss those because you're so busy, but take a moment again to breathe and to say, okay, this seems good. How can I weave it into what I'm already doing? So you're able to complicate things because the outcome is likely to be even better. Make sure you integrate any unexpected opportunities and be open to reworking your schedule as things crop up. The outcome is going to be a much richer tapestry than you could have set out to create at the very beginning. Okay. So that's what I get for you this week, guys. I hope that gives you an idea of what you'll be working with, and I hope you have a wonderful week. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, scroll down a bit until you get to the button that says book your reading. Click on that to order your reading with me. And in my personal readings, I use astrology, I use the tarot, numerology, and my intuition. If you have changes coming up in 2024, if you want to set some goals and say, I want to prioritize and look at 1 or 2 or 3 things that I'm going to work on, and I also want to figure out what those are. If you have any questions about life purpose, career, relationships, finance, travel, education, spiritual development, or any other questions, please do get in touch with me for a personal reading. Also, I'm going to start teaching the tarot live over Zoom over an 8-week period. So if you'd like to be a part of that, I'm thinking of starting it on the 27th of January. There are a few spots left, so if you want to sign up, please do sign up for my tarot course. I've taught it once before at the end of last year, and that was really enjoyable. Hi to all my students, it was so fun. So if you want to learn the tarot with me, then please head over to the website as well, gregoryscott.com. You'll find all the details there. Check out some of my other videos, particularly what's relevant this week is Pluto going into Aquarius. Have a look at that, please, because I go into a lot of detail. And because it's an outer planet, I kind of go into detail as to how this will affect us on a world events kind of level, as well as personally. And I make videos for the new moons, the full moons, and also I go through each sign of the zodiac for those. Check those out. We had a big one on the 11th of January. New moon in Capricorn, so that was like New Year's in terms of I'm setting intentions and getting clear on what I want to create. What else? I also do a daily tarot reading on the channel, so if you want to have a look at that, please subscribe and consider becoming a member of the channel. And that's it. So I hope you have a fabulous week and all the best, and I'll speak to you next week. Take care. Hey guys, I just want to show you the park again. Hey doggy. Because it's so beautiful today, and who knows how often I get to film this. There's the tower that I included in one of the other videos. I think I've put the wrong setting on because it may be a bit blurry and you just get to see me, but anyway, I just wanted to show you the kids skating on the pond as well. I love this park. It's my favorite park in this entire city. I love it. There's also another one called the, I think, excuse my pronunciation, but I think it's called the Setagaya Park. And that one I really, really like. It's like a Japanese garden, but that's much smaller, so it's difficult to film and to get a little bit of peace and not to be disturbed. I just want to show you this because it's just so picturesque and gorgeous. It's people actually skating on this pond. This whole park to me is like a postcard. I love it. I really do. It's so pretty. So I'm almost there. I feel so lucky to get to come here every Sunday. So here we go. It's like a postcard. So pretty. Okay guys, so have a great week and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.